So, how about that final boss of Pokemon Legends Arceus? Pretty tough, right? You fought that guy 6 to 8, breaking all series conventions. I want more like that. I want a whole game of that. So here we are. I'm going to play an entire Pokemon game without using my full potential, completely scrapping 2 of my available team slots. Can you beat Pokemon Ultra Moon with only 4 Pokemon? The rules are simple. I may never have more than 4 Pokemon in my party at any time. There aren't any HMs in this game, so there won't be an issue. I cannot use more than 3 healing items in any battle. Battle items or Pokeballs are fine. If I find a shiny, I may use them as a 5th party member until the next island challenge, then they must be placed in the PC. Finally, my levels might not exceed the next Totem Pokemon unless the EXP share levels me up on accident. Without further ado, let's begin. Our journey through the Ula'ula region began by choosing the only correct starter, Rowlet. Decidueye's coverage as a grass ghost type will no doubt help tremendously throughout the game. Moving on, we meet our rival, How, and watch as he picks Popplio, a starter weak to Rowlet. Then, for some random reason, we find a girl with a Pokemon that definitely won't be important later. The next day, we get our first Pokeballs and I catch a Grubbin, since it'll be a good while before I find something else with electric moves. Shortly then after, we have another battle with How and absolutely demolishes stupid Popplio. Like, seriously? Why did this dude pick the weaker starter? Afterwards, on our way to Kukui's lab, I catch an Inkay, since it knows Reflect, a move that can boost his team's physical defense. Then I give it a truly hilarious nickname. Kukui injects a Rotom, into our Pokédex before we set off to the trainer's school. You can have up to 6 Pokemon with you on your team? Huh. I didn't know this game had propaganda in it. What? This is like 1 Tauros. Why can't I pass? Anyway, I get the XP share at the trainer's school and immediately turn it off. I honestly forgot you could do that. We make sure to pick up the Quick Claw for later. Trust me, it's going to matter later on. For now though, I just give it to Rowlet. I was able to easily dispatch all the trainers at the trainer's school, then realized something. Until maybe the latter half of the second island, we're basically just playing the game as normal. It just didn't even expect us to have 6 Pokemon yet. So for the rest of the Melemele Island, I'll be implementing a new rule. I'm only allowed to use 1 Pokemon in battle. Yes, 1. As if to make me eat my own words, the very next trainer had only a Litten, which is super effective against Rowlet. I lost, but I did come close. The second time, I tried giving Rowlet an Oranberry, but it still didn't work. I tried getting Rowlet to level 11, but that didn't work. I'd like to grind even more, but the first Totem Pokemon is level 12, so I can't go above that. I tried walking around the limited area I had, trying to find something I could use to beat this Litten, until I found this guy with a Slowpoke. Slowpoke is a water type. Huh. I walked back to Kukui's lab, and in the grass I was able to find myself a Slowpoke. I caught the little guy and named him Pussy Destroyer, after his only purpose in life. Slowpoke learns Water Gun at level 9, so I grinded up to that and came back to this stupid Litten. I used Yawn to put him to sleep, then kept spamming Water Gun, eventually taking him down. Afterwards, I placed Pussy Destroyer back in the box, a champion who will forever live the fame of his 1 victory. Next, in Hau'oli City, we had our first encounter with Team Skull before challenging Lima, the captain of the first island trial. I set up 4 workups to raise my attack and just barely beat his Yungoos. Next up was Smeargle, who got me down to 6 health. I had already used my 3 potions for this fight, and I would have lost, but I got a lucky crit with Peck, taking down Smeargle in 1 hit. In the Pokemon Center, we get access to the Roto-Loto, a chance to get items we can use in battle for a huge buff. Finally, we reach our first trial at Verdant Cave. Throughout the trial, I did my best to only do the required fights, but I unfortunately leveled up to level 14. With a single Pokemon, this was bound to happen. First Totem Pokemon battle was up next, Totem Raticate. Rowlet learned Razor Leaf a while back, so he was able to hit both Raticate and the helper Pokemon at the same time. I lost once, but with luck from critical hits, we're able to defeat Totem Raticate and earn our first Sea Crystal, the Normalium Z. Also, our next level cap is 16, barely missing out on evolving Rowlet, as he doesn't evolve until level 17. Huh? What? It's not my birthday. Huh? As we move on, we pick up a Sharpie on Route 3. I have a feeling this might come in handy soon. While trying to save Nebby, we face off against Solaria from the Ultra Recon Squad, and lose to a Furfrou. It takes a while, but I use one of my Roto powers and chip away at the Furfrou's health to win. On our way out, Hao challenges us to a surprise battle. I was really hoping this wouldn't happen, as Rowlet was really close to leveling up. We managed to beat Hao though quite easily, and have Rowlet accidentally evolved into Dartrix. I'm hoping this doesn't happen on the next island, as we'll catch more and more party members. Next up was Kahuna Olivia of Melemele Island. This is why I picked up the Sharp Beak. Hala specializes in fighting types, meaning Peck will do a lot more damage with it equipped, as it raises the power of flying type moves. Both his Machop and Makuhita go down to nothing but Peck, and his final Pokemon, Crabrawler, comes out. Dartrix absolutely tanks a fighting type Z move, and destroys Crabrawler. Ironically, Hala has been our easiest boss fight so far. We claim our fight in EMZ and finish the Grand Trial, obtaining the Ride Tauros and finishing up Melemele Island. I Mantine surf my way over to Akala Island for the next batch of island challenges. I'll be lifting the one Pokemon rule now, but I won't be stacking my team just yet. I think it'll make it more interesting for me to only use Pokemon I'll be keeping on the team. I didn't think Cena would pose much of a challenge until I realized she specializes in ice types. Needless to say, I didn't win that bet. Oh, it was optional? Nice. Literally 5 steps in the Paniola town, Hal challenges us to another battle. Dude did not learn his lesson the past 3 times. I take down his Brione, who used his Z move and did barely any damage. Then he sends out Pikachu. Since Electric is ineffective against Grass, I take the time to set up 4 workups. That's all it takes to one-shot his Pikachu, Noibat, and Eevee. Why would you make me do that? We're almost at the trial, but before we make it there, funny edgy rival challenges us to a battle. At first I wondered why Ominous Wind, a ghost-type move, wasn't effective against Zubat, then I found it was a Zoroa. Gladian's team wasn't hard, but Titanol being legendary gave Dartrix a ton of experience. Unfortunately, it was enough to get him to level 21. At Brooklet Hill, most of Lana's water-type child gives Dartrix no trouble. Totem Arachnid scared me though. For whatever reason, this thing knew Aurora Beam. It was good against me, and I was good against it. In order to win, I had to use my last Roto power and carefully spread out my heals. If I hadn't chosen Rowlet, I have no idea what I'd have done here. Nevertheless, we won the trial and claimed our Winter MZ. As for our leveling issue, beating Lana's trial gives us access to Route 6. Here, I use the Island Scan feature on a Sunday to find a Ralts. At long last, we finally have a second party member, and hopefully, we won't run into the leveling issue anymore. The main reason I chose Ralts was for its typing. Fairy and Psychic are 2 of the most broken types in the game, and with Gardevoir's special attack stat, I think this thing can do some serious damage. After a quick run-in with Team Skull, the Masked Royal challenges us to a 4-way fight with Hao and Gladian. Ralts was the first one to get out, but the entire thing was optional. Although we just caught her, Wella Volcano Park already gives us a third party member. I was going to catch a Salandit, but while trying to catch it, it managed to SOS a level 19 Salazzle. After a tough fight, I managed to catch her instead. Ironically, I wanted a Salazzle to counter fairy types just because of how strong they are. On the way to the next trial, Ralts evolved into Kirlia. I'm hoping now she'll be more useful. Totem Marowak was up next, and it's the first Totem Pokemon I have nothing for. Dragon Rage took Marowak down to half, but the ally Salazzle used Torment. By sacking off Kirlia and Dartrix, I was able to overcome the Torment and use another Dragon Rage. From there, Salazzle just barely won an intense mirror match, winning us the trial in the Fiery MZ. In this case, Fire really did beat Fire. Believe it or not, we're already at the next trial. This time, we're up against Totem Lurantis of Mallow's Grass Trial. For obvious reasons, I led with my Fire type. Despite the fact that it had Synthesis, we're still early enough into the game for Dragon Rage to be a viable boss killer. Lurantis called an ally Comfy, which spammed the defense up move on Lurantis. I'm pretty sure it was at plus 6 defense by the time it ran out of Synthesis, but because Dragon Rage always does 40 damage, it just wasted its time. After a lot of back and forth, Dragon Rage took down Lurantis, and the helpless Comfy soon followed. It was honestly a little refreshing, considering the last easy boss was Hala back on Melemele Island. Nevertheless, that victory earned us the Grass MZ and access to Lush Jungle. Here, I can catch my 4th party member, but considering how difficult it is to find here, and that it can be found elsewhere, I'll hold off for now unless it's absolutely necessary. At the Dimension Research Lab, we meet Burnett, and then I suddenly have a flashback to the time Pokemon had a wedding episode. That was kinda weird. Where was I? Oh yeah, Other Dimensions. Wait, this is a Pokemon game. Oh, actually, no, that one's pretty normal. Burnett warns us of Ultra Beasts and Ultra Wormholes, and then it's time to track down Kahuna Olivia for Akala Island's Grand Trial. Traveling through Diglett's cave, we have a double battle with Hao against Team Skull. With the second Pokemon backing Kirlia up, she's able to snag some EXP she otherwise wouldn't have. In all honesty, training her has been a huge struggle. While Gardevoir and Gallade are outstanding Pokemon, Ralts and Kirlia, not so much. Regardless, after Diglett's cave comes Coney City. Upon reaching Coney City, I find an Eviolite. This item gives a defense boost that Pokemon can still evolve, so it's perfect for Kirlia. Afterwards, Olivia's Probopass gives us a letter that's saying she's waiting for us at the Ruins of Life. One walk through a literal graveyard later, Team Skull admin Plumeria challenges us to a battle before we can make it to the ruins. Her Golbat is an absolute tank. It's able to take down Dartrix and Kirlia with one hit, but with clever use of Sage switches, I'm able to use 3 Dragon Rages to take it down. Her other Pokemon, Salandit, isn't tough at all, but by this point in the battle, Salazzle was my only Pokemon and she was low. Salandit takes Salazzle down to 4 HP and then dies. That was intense. But next up might be even harder. Starting off the battle with Olivia, Anorith takes Salazzle down to 3 health, but dies. After healing up, Salazzle takes down Lileep and lives on 1 HP. Going into her last Pokemon, Lycanroc, I switch into Dartrix and use a Grass-type Z-move. It takes him down to yellow health, and surprisingly, it doesn't fire back with its own Z-move. A critical Razor Leaf takes it down, winning us the battle. While that looked easy, it took a ton of tries. Nevertheless, winning the battle rewards us with a Rocky MZ in the end of Akala Island. Upon reaching Hano Grand Resort, the worst character in the game, Faba, invites us to the Aether Paradise. After a short introduction with Lusamine, an Ultra Wormhole opens up, and the Ultra Beast Nihilego comes out. While Salazzle does faint, it's not a very hard battle at all. Nihilego flees before it can be taken down, and the Ultra Recon Squad shows up to warn us of the legendary Pokemon Necrozma. A wolf will sure have a field day talking about him for later, but for right now, Wick gives us a ride to Ula'ula Island. Before leaving though, we also get a TM for Psychic, one of the best moves Kirlia can learn, and you bet I taught it to her right away. Right as I enter Melemele City, it's time for another battle with Hao. This time, he has 5 Pokemon and he managed to sweep my entire team with his Raichu. After some grinding, I went to level 32 and Kirlia evolved into a Gardevoir. Also, Salazzle learned Toxic at level 29, so I went back to Hano Grand Resort and picked the TM for Attract. While it won't be very useful in this battle, going forth, I have a strategy involving the move Toxic. Because it does more and more damage every turn, if I can manage to stall for long enough, I'll be able to win. Since Salazzle is female, and most Pokemon are male, Attract has a better chance of working with her than anyone else. And because Track forces a miss 50% of the time, this strategy may prove to be deadly. With a different strategy, this time, Dartrix is able to critical hit an Ominous Wind and take out Raichu. On the next turn, I revive Gardevoir and sack off Dartrix for a safe switch. She's able to take down Noibat and just barely beat Tauros, winning the battle. Afterwards, it's time to meet Kukui at the Mali Garden. One meeting with the professor later, I find Team Skull trying to hijack a literal bus stop. Yes, a bus stop. That's odd. But after stopping them, the bus takes us to the observatory for the electric trial. We really lucked out here. None of my party members have a ground type move yet for electric Pokemon. However, Totem Togedemaru is part steel type, meaning he's weak to fire. Since Togedemaru is male, it's vulnerable to Attract. However, steel types are immune to poison, so Toxic won't work on it. Somehow, he manages to miss like 5 different attacks and faints. The ally Dedenne soon follows, allowing Salazzle to solo the entire trial and winning us the Electrium Z for our efforts. Before moving on to the next trial, the leader of Team Skull, your boy himself, Guzma, challenges us to a battle. Because of Golisopod's first impression, I don't send out Gardevoir first. Instead, I decide to send in Dartrix and get as close to activating Golisopod's emergency exit as possible. Then, I allow it to take out Dartrix for a safe switch in the Gardevoir. To finish him off, I use an electric type Z move to take out Golisopod. I knew it wouldn't one-shot him, so I had to butter him up first. With a careful safe switch from the Salazzle, she was able to take down his Masquerain and win the battle. For our efforts, Kukui gives us the specific Z crystal for Rowlet's final evolution, Decidueye. While traversing the next route, Dartrix finally evolves into a Decidueye. Upon evolving, it learns its signature move, Spirit Shackle, and I give it the Deciduum Z. Interestingly, evolving into a Decidueye means it loses its flying type in exchange for a secondary ghost typing. Later, at the Aether House, meeting Acerola and stopping a Team Skullgrunt grants access to the Ghost Trial. For the battle against Totem Mimikyu, I send in Gardevoir first. With a Quick Claw activate, she activates Mimikyu's ability, and although she faints, this is what I wanted to happen. I send in Decidueye, and he leaves a Shadow Claw on 9 health. From there, he uses his Z move to almost take out Mimikyu in one hit.
On the next turn, Salazzle uses the Flame Burst to finish off Totem Mimikyu, and a revive on Decidueye takes out the ally Bayonet. Although I did it first try, that was an extremely close one. By winning the trial, we get the Ghost DMZ, which is actually extremely useless, considering our Ghost type has an even better Z Crystal. Huh. Before moving on, Plumeria challenges us to a rematch at the Aether House. This time, she's not very difficult, as a Quick Claw critical hit Psychic one-shots her troublesome Golbat, and a sinister Ghost Raid from Decidueye takes out Salazzle. While it seems like we've been gathering Z Crystals rather quickly, that's about to change. For after the battle, Team Skull steals a girl's Yungoos, and it's up to us to get it back. Wait, can't you catch like 4 million of those on Route 1? Maybe this is like a special Yungoos, I don't know. Before setting off to Po Town, Grimsley of the Unova Elite Four gives us the next ride Pokemon. Yeah, I have no idea why they put him of all people in the game either. Beats me. While training, Salazzle finally learns Venoshock in place of Dragon Rage. At this point in the game, Dragon Rage kills in about 3 hits, so it's no longer useful. By SOS training on Route 17, Eradicate is able to call for the help of a wild Goomy. Catching this Gooey nets us our final party member, who then evolved into a Sliggoo during some pre-dungeon grinding. Using a Sliggoo gives us access to many types we haven't had access to throughout the game. Also, it'll soon become a dedicated physical attacker. While trying to deal with the gate at Po Town, we meet Nanu, who lets us into Team Skull's base. For some reason, the Pokemon Center in Po Town costs 10 Pokédollars to use. That had nothing to do with the challenge, I just thought it was kinda funny. Inside the Shady House, I pick up the TM for Sludge Bomb and teach it to Salazzle. Yeah, so much for Venoshock. Because I've played this game before, I already know the 3 passwords to get the Guzma. Now, it's time for our rematch with him. Like the first battle, sacking off the Decidueye and using Electric-type Z-move is almost enough to take out Golisopod, but I accidentally activate Emergency Exit. Upon switching into Masquerain, Sliggoo takes it out in one hit with a 4x super effective Rock Slide. Once Golisopod comes back in, it takes out Sliggoo and Gardevoir, but Salazzle is able to take him out, then deal with his last Pokemon, Pinsir, with 2 Flame Bursts. Before leaving, I make sure to take a Bugnium Z for absolutely no reason, then return the Yungoos to Acerola. Upon returning to the Aether House, Lily's been taken by Team Skull, and Gladion rushes in, so angry that he just has to challenge us to a battle. Because I was taken by surprise, I played the battle a little dumb, and lost the first time. Oh, it was optional. Huh. Before Gladion is able to take us to the Aether Foundation, Nanu reveals himself to be Ula'ula Island's Kahuna, and we have the Grand Trial battle against him. Gardevoir and Sableye both trade a hit, but Gardevoir is able to take him out. Against Krokorok, I send out Decidueye and he uses Swagger, but I'm able to bust through the confusion and take him out in one hit, and yet his Persian comes out. Persian is able to take out Gardevoir with a Dark-type Z-move, but I still have 3 Pokemon left. Sending out Sliggoo, her extremely high special defense stat as a pseudo-legendary allows her to live all of Persian's attacks and take her down with Dragon Breath. For winning against the Kahuna of Ula'ula Island, Nanu rewards us with a Darknium Z, finishing off the 3rd of the game's 4 islands. After all of that, we ride on a boat with Gladion and Hau to the Aether Paradise, in an attempt to rescue Lily.